All right, everybody. I'm so grateful that I have family, not just anybody that I'm meeting or interviewing. This is a conversation that I don't know where it's going to go. So I apologize in advance for what might come out. For those of you who are real tight, you might not want to watch this one because this might be one of those ones that we just talk about anything. So who knows? But I want to say first, welcome. Marcus Tanksley. Marcus ain't on everything. Thank you for being a part of my podcast and making my ratings go up. So I appreciate it.
Oh no, man! Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, man. I was like, he's like, you want to do my podcast? Absolutely, I'm gonna do that podcast.
Well, I appreciate it. And for those of you who have ever, for any reason, complimented my beard, for any reason, you can point to this man because I am wearing every day his product called man shit. I just said it is
Man,
man
shit,
shit. That is
yes.
exactly what it is. And you need it in your life. I don't care where you are. If you're a woman and you have some beard issues, we don't know about that. But as far as this, where did you even come up with the desire to come up with a beard product? Where was that?
Oh, so this was, I don't know, once I got to a place in my career where I was like, I could finally grow this out and let it do whatever I wanted to, and not have to live up this whole image of, more what they would consider clean cut, even though you and me are both very clean cut with beards. But, corporate America has a different, what they want the baby face look. But I started looking up beard products, and I didn't like how a lot of them made my hair feel on my face. So then when I started looking at the ingredients, I'm like, most of the products on the market have a bunch of stuff in it that you're not supposed to put. It's not healthy for your skin or the hair. Particularly, like, there's different proteins on your head and on your face that makes the hair grow. I figured all this out while looking up products and looking up ingredients inside products, mainly the fragrances. They put lavender and tea tree oil. None of that stuff's supposed to go in on your hair long lasting. You can use it to clean, but then wash it off. It shouldn't remain. So then I was like, you know what? Let me start looking up. I can make my own. It's just, a bunch of butters and some oils, and let's see what it is. So I've pretty much found every butter and oil that I could find that has good proteins in it, that moisturizes without being too greasy or oily, and figured out a recipe to make it consistent enough to be able to rub in, melt in your hand, and wipe on your beard.
So I want to know, because I'm not a scientist. I don't know how to mix ingredients. I do good mixing clothes. So I don't know, how do you even start the process of, like, how do you even come up, different recipes? Do you go to a plant? Do you go to, how do you look up? I don't even know the first thing you do.
No, I didn't either. I literally, I looked, a lot of people think it's shea butter in it. I didn't use shea butter because shea butter comes from a nut. A lot of people have a nut allergy. There's absolutely no ingredient in it that involves nut except argan oil, which I use very little, and that's for vitamin C. But the butters all melt. So what I did is I figured out what butters I wanted to use, some hard, some soft butters, and then what oils I wanted to use. And it's basically a process of me measuring the butter, the amount of each butter that I want, putting it in a pot, melting it all together. After it melts, add the oils, aloe vera plant, let it solidify in the refrigerator. After it solidifies, after a day or two, pull it out, whip it up, and then package it. That's the process in a nutshell. But it took me probably 5 or 6 different times to figure out to put less of this and more of this, and too much of it, not enough of that. Because the first recipe actually was, I would take actual aloe vera plant and shave it off the plant and blend it up in there. But the problem with that is, by the time it would get to somebody, the product would mold, because the aloe vera plant goes bad unless it's refrigerated. Mm-hmm. And it was going bad, like, in the mail. Not going bad, but it would develop these little spots on it. So people were sending me pictures. I was like, oh my God. So I had to go back to the drawing board, remove that, took it back off the market. Like, I got to figure something out. So I figured out how they do aloe vera plant. It's basically pasteurized, and they don't, I don't know, can't even exactly explain how they do it, but basically the kind that I use now is not even refrigerated when it comes to me. And it says do not refrigerate. So that was the biggest problem, is because everything is natural. Anything that's all natural with no preservative in it is eventually it won't be as good. It doesn't have as long of a shelf life. So that was what I don't plan on deterring from. You know, I'll just deal with the headache of like a lot of people put an order in. If they put an order in on like a Thursday, I probably won't ship it out until Monday because I don't want it sitting in the post office over the weekend.
Okay.
But
Well,
if that was to answer your question, it took me trial and error over months to figure out the right consistency and writing. You know, I was like a scientist writing everything down, and you know, once I figured it out, I was like, all right, perfect. But also to answer your question, the comment that you said about women, probably most of my customers are women because
really?
that I was giving it to women first because, you know, especially Black women, if they like something on their skin, it's probably a good thing. And now I get people saying it's cleared up their eczema, women saying you need to make
Really?
this container bigger because I put it on my
So
whole
they
body.
use it just like the same the man shit, like just different products or just
Yeah, no, just the man shit. Like when I use it, I put it on my head, arms. I pretty much put it everywhere. Especially in the wintertime, I wipe my beard and, you know, rub a little on my lips. You know, your lips get all chapped.
now wait a minute. I've just been using on my beard. I didn't know I could use it other places.
Oh, everywhere, man. It's like like I said, I never put this out of, oh, it does this, it does that. I'm just going off people's testimonies. Like one lady said she was using it. She had some on her hands because she used it for her dreadlocks to twist them.
Yeah.
And she said she actually got some on her lip and she just rubbed it in and she was like, it actually made it better. So over the next couple of weeks, she was using it on her lips and the eczema went away for like that she's had over the past 20 years. I was like, wow, that's good to know.
Let me
Because basically
find out.
everything in it is good for your hair and skin. That's all it is. There's a lot of products on the market that tell people you know, oh, you want to grow a beard, use this. It's like if you don't have hair follicles there and if they're not healthy, hair's not gonna grow.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. There is nothing on the market. I don't care what they sell or what they say that's gonna make something grow. Only thing you can do is treat what's there healthy. Your hair can grow thicker, or maybe you can help it grow a little better. But that's one thing. That's something else I found out while doing all this research on beard stuff. I don't know. I just ended up down this rabbit hole and found all of this stuff out.
Let me go home and be like, I had no clue. I've been living beneath my potential. I had no clue. No, that's great. And I was saying that because the reason I started with Manship, other than the fact that I use it, is that you have gone through a series of inventions or creations. Manship is one of them. But I want to talk about just how you embraced evolving into all these many different things. Of course, you're a native of Kentucky, and just transitioning from an environment here, a culture here in Kentucky, which I'm still here, to now California. And what was that, I kind of asked kind of two different things, but we'll start with just the transition, how your mind maybe shifted from one culture to a whole different.
Yeah, that was a struggle for me. When I first moved to California, I never saw it as a long term. Like I was like 5 years, give us a try, then we'll move back home, whatever it may be. But and then when I first moved here, somebody told me that had been here for years. They said if you like where you from, if you love where you from, you'll hate California. If you hate where you from, you'll love California. I love Kentucky. I bleed blue. I'm a country boy at heart. Like, and it took me probably 8 years to stop hating California. It got to the point to where at first I was like, because I was home probably once every month, something like that, as often as I could get home. And then it got to the point to where, okay, I can tolerate it now. Like, this is where I'm at. I can tolerate it now. It's just like, oh no, I actually like being here. But for me, it was a difficult transition, and it took just as long as that lady told us when we first moved out here, when she said that. And I didn't think about it till it got to the point to where it's like, no, this is where I'm at now. And I was like, dang, she said that. She hit the nail on the head when she told us that. But for me, because it was such a change of pace, like it's so busy and so much going on out here. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I did it because I needed to see other people doing things that they're doing out here for me to be more successful. Like I wouldn't have reached where I'm at living in Kentucky. I have other friends that have reached, like they're doing great. I wouldn't have done as well in Kentucky if I stayed there. I think it's one of those things God was like, I see what you want to do, even career wise, stepping into social media. It's like, this is what you've been asking me for. I hear you, Marcus, but this is what you need to be doing. I'm putting it in front of you, but you ignoring it. So I'm just going to keep it there. But one thing, like God's always done for me is he would always make me, like I always say, I would pray for things. And if I pray for something and he gave it to me, it's not like he gave it to me. He would make me uncomfortable enough to move out of that situation to force myself into the next situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much, he finally made California comfortable for me. And he's like, I'm going to keep making you uncomfortable again until you move into this lane where I know you need to be, that you don't realize you need to be.
What do
But
you think?
I know I veered from the question, but that's like,
no, it's still,
that was all part of my journey, you know?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's the important part because a lot of people think that success of any kind is just a straight line,
Oh, no.
and that's not how it works, but people think that and assume that that success really in its real form is less than sexy. It's
No,
a lot of dips, valleys, curves, all
nah,
that type of stuff.
with me, I was in a career. I was started off as an electrician. That's what I was when I first moved to California. Moved into building engineering, then general contracting. All pretty much in that realm of construction and maintenance and everything. And the last job that I was at, I worked for a general contractor, pretty big general, well-known contractor. And there was a certain specific position I have been shooting for years. And I was finally on track to do that. And I was like, all right, I've been deterred a couple of times, but I'm like, all right, it's still right there. And then one day after work, I saw a guy that I had worked with previously on the same project, and we hadn't seen each other in like a year. So we just sitting there catching up. I'm on my way home, and I saw him. So we just sitting in the parking lot catching up, and he was in the position that had been shooting for, been praying for. Like I know this is what it's it. God, this is just show me how to do this. Show me how to do that. Just lead my path and light my path. And as I was sitting there talking to that guy, I realized I don't want to do this. After hearing him talk about everything he had been doing over the past couple months, past couple weeks, the projects and the hours spent and how everything was going, he's sitting there talking. I was like, dang, like this is what I've been wanting all this time. And like on the way home, I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do at this point. Like, what am I supposed to do? And it's one of those like, I went home, I came home, told my wife, I was like, what? Sitting there talking to this dude, and she was like, we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, she's been trying to push me to do social media the whole time, So,
Yeah.
And that was probably about a year year and a half before I like put in my notice and started doing social media full time. But even then, it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna do social media. That was probably 6 months of us actually realizing that I'm gonna step away and do social media before I actually done it. But that was, you gotta understand, that was almost 20 years in one career. And then one day realizing I don't want to do this.
I just think that's good because there's a lot of people who are in stuff or they think that they're going to land somewhere and this is where I want to be and this is what I want to do. And then you get to it and you be like, this is not even what I've been waiting all this time for this, and this is not even what I wanted to do. So what was your resistance initially about social media? Like, so for those people who don't know, of course, later on, you'll give your handles and stuff like that. But I think it's hilarious when you had Marcus ain't on the ground. Marcus ain't on the book. Marcus ain't, it was
Tank
so
don't talk. Yeah.
all that. It was just hilarious to me that these names, because it was like my resistance to it. I'm on here, but I really don't want to be on here, type of thing, so that's what I get as far as the name was concerned, like what was your resistance or like, I just don't want to be a part of that world, what was it?
So, for me, for the longest, especially once I moved to California, it's like social media started blowing up. And, it started off with MySpace, and it's like, what? I have no reason, like anybody I want to talk to, communicate with, they got my number.
Yeah.
Like who am I keeping in contact? People don't need to see what I'm doing. Like I'm a very private person. And then as it went on, it was the same thing. It's like, and the only reason I ended up getting on Facebook is I had a phone that got stolen. And when I got another phone, I was like, I know everybody's on Facebook, so let me just get on there and, try to get, as many contacts as I can back. So I just like, hey, y'all, this is me. I remember everybody blowing up. Friend Shonda, everybody was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. You also made a big deal out of it. Well, that was years and years ago. So then as, time went on, Angel, she was already in social media. We had the vlogging that she was already doing. And it was trying to get me more and more in front of the camera. And I still had no desire whatsoever, because it's like, again, the way it was used in our household, it was like, not, I ain't gonna say putting our business out there, but it was like documenting our life almost. And I'm just like, I don't know these people. Like, I have no desire to show people what I'm doing or how my day is going or any of that, So then as I slowly started to get into it, because I realized it, after, years of Angel telling me like, this is actually going to help my channel and help us grow in this platform when you show up, because people like seeing a unit, they want to see a full family. And second of all, a lot of people can relate to you. You have no desire. A lot of people's husbands are just like you. They like your blunt,
Yeah.
your tell it like it is, personality. I was like, all right. So I started leaning into it more and more. And then finally I was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, I was doing a podcast with my friend Kevin and Melissa, and we were on their podcast. This was probably about 3 years ago, I think. And as they're sitting there, giving the social, at the end of all the podcasts, people always do social media handle. And I was like, well, y'all can catch me. I used to say that was my thing. Y'all can find me in traffic, because I was just going back and forth to work. Y'all ain't gonna find me on no social media. So then Kevin made a joke and was like, oh, well, Marcus ain't on the gram. So me being the petty, spiteful person I am, I may have created an Instagram handle just in spite of him. Had no desire to be on Instagram, just to say, ha, here you go. Yeah. Marcus ain't on the gram. So that's how that was born. So then eventually, same thing with Facebook, Marcus ain't on the book. And then, I don't know, probably a couple months ago, I got on TikTok and I was just like, what am I going to handle? And then I think Angel came up with the name Tank Don't Talk. I was like, all right. Yeah. But it's my reluctance. The names come from my reluctance to be on, because I'm like, this is literally my job now, and I still struggle to get on there and do it. A lot of people
but
even
with your struggle, if it is a struggle, I know you say it is, your content is so naturally organic and almost like what some of us want to say and don't say.
Yeah, well, that's when we first started doing the vlogging, Angel would always tell me, you can still be private and do this. A lot of people create a different character that they are on camera. And that's their person on camera, so they can still be themselves and be private. And I tried it, and then it just didn't work. I was like, I only know how to be me. I don't know how to live out this specific character, just because the camera's running. And yeah, it didn't last long. And I was just like, I'm gonna be me. Some people love me, some people hate me. Either way, may God be with you.
Do you think that, I know, it's you. Did you have anybody family-wise growing up who had some of your personality, or you gleaned from that? Uncle, that anybody?
Oh yeah, my granny, my mom's mom, everybody always talked about how witty she was, like just real quick and funny. And that bled down to my mom and all my mom's brothers. It's just in our blood. And then, I was gonna say the temper, the short fuse, I get that on both sides. That's my dad's side and my mom's side. Okay. But yeah, that I would have to say that's definitely my granny. She, even thinking back, like she was very quick and knew how to keep somebody smiling. And also because my mom is the youngest of 11, by the time I came around, my granny was already pretty up there in age. So she was at the point to where, they can say what they want to. And so I they kind of bled off on me too. It's just like, oh, well, that it was said that
Yeah.
she said it.
Yeah.
Like,
So what has it been like? Because I know you, I think I might have asked Angel this before, but I think it's what would you say since you transitioned from Kentucky to California, from job to now, being a media influencer, uh, what would you say has still remained the core of you that hasn't changed?
pretty much just me being honest and being me. That's always been from the electrician, the apprentice starting off in Kentucky or even in high school up until now. Everybody knows that Tank's going to be Tank. Any environment you put me in, yeah, I would. Even in corporate America, like I would, play the role and be the uh be the professional side of me, but at the same time, I was still me. It's like if I'm in a meeting and something that is said that I disagree with, regardless of who said it, it's just like, well, make that make sense to me, please. Like, that's one thing that I feel like it may be the easy out, because a lot of people is like, well, certain situations calls for this, that, and the other. Is like for me, it's just easy for me to be me.
Mhm. Yeah, I just said that because a lot of times people feel like, especially in the industry that you're in, as well as, when people have this, what they think is as far as this fantasy of entertainment, all this type of stuff, they feel like you got to be something else to be successful. You got to
Yeah,
be something else to actually have a lane. But you maintained who you are the entire
yeah.
time and still reached, and not finished, as far as what you're doing, but I just wanted to ask, I asked that for a reason, just to see how did you, you know, make that mental decision to say that no matter what you're suggesting or what you think might work,
Hmm.
I know I work. I know
Yeah, and
that it works for me.
one thing that made it, I think, I don't know everybody's situation, that made it easy for me is stepping into it. I wasn't relying on my image in social media or in front of the camera. That was just like, I'm doing this. Okay, like my wife's vlogging, so I'll join in and vlog with her. Or we got a podcast now. All right, let me start taking this podcast a little more serious. But what I thought at the time, my main goal was to in corporate America, in the construction industry, work for a general contractor or whatever I may be doing. That was my main thing. So that was my focus. Me over here, it was kind of like I could do what I wanted to, which was I only wanted to be me anyway. So it made it easy for me to settle into this. And now that I'm doing this, you know, full time and is my, sole income, I am I have become more conscious of, what other people may be going through or something. If I don't understand it, I don't speak on it. Or I will say, I can't speak on that because I don't understand it. So let me back away. Where before I would have been like, oh yeah, just say like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so I have become more cautious that way. However, at the same time, it was a decision. It was something that I didn't have to be a decision for me at the beginning, but now like I'm sticking hard to it. Like
Mm.
even prime example, I get DM'd and even suggestions on changing the name of man shit. It's like, it's not, when you get to corporate market, I don't care about no corporate marketing. It's going to remain man shit because guess what? You will never forget that name, will you?
No,
You,
no.
you will like, I told a guy that he was actually in church and he was just like, because I was like, yeah, this is my product. And he, put it up like, oh man, he was like, hey, you might want to start changing the name. I was like, nah, it's going to stay that. It ain't going nowhere.
I don't.
He
I
was like,
think
you
I
don't think
told
you should
you.
change it? I said, will you ever forget it? It's like,
No, I think I told you that time that I don't know if I did. I think I did, but I was at a graduation, University of Kentucky graduation. I think it was people graduate from law, doctor's degree, laws, Jewish
mm,
doctor, whatever. And this guy came by me. He said, "Man, your beard is nice." He said, "Like, what type of product do you use?" And I responded, I said, "Man, shit." He said, what you say to me?
I don't know what you using. I'm using man shit.
No, but what he thought I was saying, not man shit. He thought I was like, he thought I was separating the two and cussing him out. I was like, no, 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 no. I said, no, 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 no. It's called man shit. He said, oh, okay. He said, I'm just like, because it was like 3 guys with him. So when he said, what you say to me? All of them kind of, I said, no, 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 no. It's all
Yeah,
like
I ain't
color
using
purple.
something out of a pink bottle. I'm using this man shit.
Yeah, I was like, he was like, oh, okay. That's the name of it. I said, that's the name of the product. That's all I'm saying. Oh, it was so funny. But no, you can't forget it. I mean, it's classic,
Yeah. And then Angel, she was the main reason behind that. She was just like, I think I said it as a joke. I was just like, man, shit. She was like, yep. And I was like, oh, girl, I'm just, she was like, no, that's you. That's your person. That's something you would say. What do you use? I'm using this man shit. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to stick to it. And here we are.
Well, I got it. It's the only product I use for my beard. The only thing I use. So it's
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And that's the other thing. A lot of like, just for a message for, men out there listening, a lot of people is like, what's your routine? What's your routine? And the one thing I always tell people is have a beard routine, period. Like you can't put, hair shampoo in it and then, Irish Spring soap and think everything's going to be good. Like it don't work that way.
Yeah. So now, so even with, you evolving and all this stuff, now, even when you saying that the decision was made, that it was going to be a unit, family decision, family business in a sense, now building the empire, enterprise, or whatever you want to call it. How has that just been, knowing this is like a business, like this isn't, because some people, really don't realize the power of not just social media, but the power of being an influencer, and what people become your friends and have never met you.
Yeah.
They become like, I like, and you don't even know them, never met them, never seen them, whatever type of stuff, and just as you just said, being aware that everything you say, who you say it to, people, how has that, just thinking about you represent a brand, a business, being that?
Yeah, it's that definitely changed things once I started taking it more serious. Because it's one of those where, people, like I said before, they sit in their work and they'll watch a podcast or listen to a podcast or watch something that we do. And, they go back to work, to where when I'm in front of the phone or the camera, this is work. Like I got to do this. And there's one thing we always never took for granted is people that support us. And that's why, like even I'll use Angela as an example. Like sometimes like our actual family members would be like, y'all's fans. And I'm like, we always correct them. Like, we don't have fans, we have supporters, we have family members. Because that's truly what it takes, is everybody that supports us to do all this. And we try to give them as much as we can, as and make it worth their while to support us. But that's one thing that we think is important, and that put that in the front street. When people tell me, like, I would do these little simple videos of, I would post my camera. I got an old school car, post it in the car, and I just go for a ride. And I would record the whole thing and then kind of speed it up. And then people would comment under there. This is like peak pandemic. They're just like, thank you so much, because, I've been incapacitated. I can't go outside. It feels like I went out and took a ride. Thank you so much for posting this video. I really enjoy it. I'm like, how am I supposed to stop doing this if I got somebody like, and it's giving them that much joy of just, or giving them the feeling that they can get outside and ride around, you know what I'm saying? Or even like the podcast, like people, you get those messages and people say, y'all saved my marriage, or y'all saved my life, y'all, from entertaining us and making me laugh, or pulled me out of a dark place. It's like, as much pressure as it, as that puts on you, at the same time, it's just like, okay, I'm doing this for a reason, and not just, this is my job now. Like I'm doing, I look at it as a bigger thing, and I never take for granted and appreciate any time I get a response like that or feedback. But that's what makes it more than just a business,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it is a business. It's like we have our Patreon and we feed into that Patreon as much as we can. And we're actually trying to think of more things to do because it's like, it's only $5 a month, but if people paying $5 a month, we want to keep them paying that. And that's the way that we are able to give them more that they ask for, and as well as support our family. But that's even our podcast. We didn't actually make it a podcast until we knew that we would be consistent. We was like, we have to make sure that we are 100% consistent. And we proved ourselves. We were consistent for an entire year before we actually made it like the podcast, monetized, and everything else. Even the Patreon, we were consistent. We said we have to be consistent with that before we start asking these people for anything outside of just watching us.
Yeah.
But it definitely, we take it like it's serious. It's one of those things. It's like, there's no vacations on with this, on vacation. That's part of the experience that they want to see,
Yeah.
But
they want to see something.
Yeah, they want to see it. So it's like, again, that's what differentiated it from just social media to being an influencer is the people that you see. I ain't gonna say depend on it, but expect to see something from you because they support you. And it's like, if you support me, this is my way of supporting you, of giving you something to see or something to laugh at or something to feel or whatever it may be.
As a father, how has that, just them seeing you evolve and see you land this role? I mean, your video that you did once about, the moving of the bed, and you had to fix the bed because the bed was broken and all of that. And I was like, I don't know exactly how to respond to this video, but it was hilarious, but like they're literally being raised in a two people that have evolved in front of them. Of course, there's probably things they don't remember about the early years and stuff like that, but how has that, because your early family memories and seeing what you saw and whatever, and how that influenced you, how does that feel, or I don't know, how do you feel about knowing that it's shaping them, into who they're going to be? Because all of you, they're all sons, so all looking at their dad. And how's that been?
It's been interesting. Like the twins, I would say Marcus has seen my oldest. He's seen the biggest shift. The twins not as much. They just know that, like, oh, mama, they're recording something, or I don't think they see it as big of a shift, other than me being home more now. And that's what made it. I'll take it back a little bit. That's what made it a little easier for me to step away from my 9 to 5, because that was nerve-wracking in itself. Okay. From walking away from what I feel like was stability. I remember there would be times around the holidays or something, or even on Sunday night, or even, in the morning, my kids saying, does daddy have to go to work? Because they knew if I was going to work, I would be gone until, if they didn't see me in the morning because I leave out so early. And then by the time I got home in the evening, it was right before they went to bed. So it's just like, I remember on Sundays or even Saturdays, they'd be like, do you have to go to work today? I'm like, no, I don't have to go to work today. But it was like, God dang, they actually noticed how I'm never here.
Yeah.
So they have seen that shift, and as far as I can tell, they like it. But with my oldest, I would say I try to make him realize that he can follow his own dreams and desires, even though he kind of falls into, he likes to act like Angel. He likes to do his gaming thing and put up his little videos, which is great. But at the same time, I don't push them into doing anything that they don't want to do. If they start something, they have to finish though.
Yeah.
Like he started basketball, you're going to do the entire season. You want to do it again? Okay. But once you step in this, you're going to take it serious. Even if you don't take it serious, you're going to finish. So
do you think that's not just for them? Do you think that's the greatest lesson, or not the greatest lesson, but your guiding principle? Like, whatever you're going to do it all the way. Don't do
right. Yeah. You have to, I don't care what it is. You have to do it all the way. I would like, if one of my sons came to me and said he wanted to play football, all right, you got to understand, I'm going to explain everything to you. And if you start this, I'm going to let you know this sport is violent. It's not physical, it's violent. That's why you wear pads. But if you start this, you're gonna finish it. I'm gonna work with you. I'm gonna be there right with you every step of the way, but you're gonna finish it. And I think it's important. That's how I was raised. Granted, my parents weren't as involved with me with my extracurricular activities. You know, they were just living their life. If they made it to a game, they made it. If they didn't, my feelings weren't hurt because half the time I wasn't expecting them. To where the dynamic now, I think if my kids were doing something, they would find it strange if one or both of us as parents didn't show up.
Yeah.
But with us being influencers, I want them to see that we keep them as private as much as they want to be private. And we're not forcing them to get in front of a camera. At the very least, we'll have them responding or something. They enjoy the videos. They like being in front of the videos, but I want to, even though they're used to it and it's part of their life, I want them to realize whatever you do in front of camera stays forever. And that's something that I don't think a lot of kids realize. A lot of parents might not even realize it, but in this day and age, that's why I want them to see us being responsible in front of the camera, so they get that same core value.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
No, I got it. One of the reasons that I really want to interview you, other than the fact that I consider everybody family, is that I've been as inspired by your evolving as with others that I see, because I've seen you not want to be on anything, so now almost on everything. I'm waiting for Marcus ain't on TV, on everything. And authentically yourself, been the same person as long as I've known, and effective. And you've gone from, meeting horses to meeting celebrities and, personalities, and all that type of stuff. Still,
that's a fact for real.
And remaining, authentic, to yourself, and to your core. And I just think that's, to me, I think that's a testament to those people who are reluctant in whatever areas they're in and staying at businesses or in whatever situation it is for years, not giving themselves permission to become, or giving themselves permission. And I think that was really why I want to have the conversation, because you continue to keep giving yourself permission to do stuff, even if you're reluctant to do it, So how has it even been, like, now that I know now when I use the term celebrities, I say the term celebrity because that's what the world has made them, celebrities.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know them as real human beings and real people with names, family, and all that type of stuff. How has it been for you to realize, or you're from Kentucky, we're not just seeing
I went to Bryan Station.
Yeah, we're not just seeing people except when Derby, that's the only time you see people, and you see them, at the club or something, like, I saw so-and-so. You didn't see them. You saw them over there in the corner, but you're really interacting in relationship and friendship with some major influencers. How was that adjustment, just to realize I'm a human being, they're human beings, and we all go be ourselves, around here?
It's like, so you've seen celebrities just from following them and their career. And you may not know 100% sure, you don't know what kind of day some people are having, but just from knowing them, whether you would actually approach them or not. Like, if they seem approachable. Like, I'm a huge fan of Jay-Z. If I saw Jay-Z out, I would never walk up and say anything to that man, just from seeing his personality and how he is. Now, if he acknowledges me, I acknowledge him, perfectly fine. However, I'm also a big fan of Method Man.
Okay.
He's always seemed approachable. In my first visit to California, I actually saw Method Man in Roscoe's on Pico, Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Me and Angel was sitting there eating, and I look up, and I was just like, he was just standing there looking at a menu, and I'm like, that looks like Method Man. And I said it a couple of times, and then Angel turned around, she's like, Marcus, that is Method Man. I was like, oh. And I wasn't fanning out, but at the same time, I kind of was, because I'm a big fan of his work. Not just because he's, famous or a celebrity. I'm like, am a huge fan of his work. So as we were walking out, as I'm walking past, I was like, hey, just to let you know, big fan of your work, love what you do. He looks up from the menu, he hands his menu off. It's like, oh, thank you. Hugs me up and sat and just starts talking to me. Oh man, where are you from? It don't sound like you're from here. So I'm just letting him know I'm out here visiting my girlfriend. And it's my first time out here. So we just chit-chatting it up. Finally, I walk out. Angel was like, what were y'all talking about? I said, he just started talking to me. So even from that is like, I've always wanted to respect people's privacy. But at the same time, I never saw anybody, I recognize what they've done, but I never saw anybody as like being above me or like worship worthy or anything like that. Like as big a fan of I am of Jay-Z, I wouldn't like, oh my God, Jay-Z. I mean, like, oh man, that's like what he does, because he's provided me with something that I paid for and I greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
and do you think, even with that, do you think that oftentimes, I don't know, it might not be true, I don't know, but do you believe oftentimes that influencers, celebrities, because I look at both the same, because celebrities are influencing people as well as influencers
it truly is the same.
Do you believe ultimately that most of them really do want to be treated as human people, just human beings?
I honestly think they just want to be treated like somebody else just walking down the street. Our friend, he passed away, Wendell. He was Miller High Life commercials, Disney shows, NBC shows, a bunch of commercials. Everybody knew him. People would recognize him, and he never shied away from taking a picture, holding a conversation, because he did not mind the attention, because he just realized that people watch things and they just want you to know that they appreciate what you're doing. But at the same time, he would never go somewhere where he didn't want to be recognized, or he would never go somewhere with the attitude of, I don't want nobody to talk to me right now. Let me just kind of, shy away. He would never do that. But as far as celebrities, I couldn't imagine everywhere you go, somebody walking up to you and saying something versus you just wanted to just walk down the street and be you. Like, it's different if you, like, when I go back home, Kentucky's small. If I go out somewhere, I'm gonna see a bunch of people I know, but I haven't seen those people in a long time. Plus, I know these people. Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine just random people constantly 24/7 running up to me, taking pictures of me, wanting to take pictures with me. Here, sign this. I honestly, to me, when I see a celebrity or somebody like that, like Method Man, I made it very inconspicuous. I was like, hey man, I'm a big fan. And I was going to keep walking. Yeah. And he stopped. I saw Charles Barkley in the airport. Same thing. There was a guy sitting beside him talking to him. I know that man didn't know Charles Barkley. I was going to walk up and say something, but after that guy got up and left, somebody else went over and started talking to him. I left it alone. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Charles Barkley. I'm like, man, that man's just sitting there trying to eat. Yeah. Let him eat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I get, like, people will meet celebrities. I've heard stories of, prime example, as you know, Angel was on ER. Mm-hmm. Mekhi Phifer, she was on the same time as him, and a bunch of other celebrities. We went to, I don't know if it was a charity event or a rap party, but it was like a gambling theme. And I never met Mekhi Phifer before that moment. I seen him on set, but I never, like, personally met him. And there was another guy there, and I don't know who he was or how he got there, but he comes over, and, like, I see Mekhi and some other people, they're over at, like, the craps table. They're just, shooting craps and, just playing the game. And this guy, he walks past, and I remember I used to see him in the gym. This other guy, he was like, oh man, that dude, he's a jerk. He's an asshole. I went over and tried to talk to him, and, he kind of shoved me away. I was like, oh, okay, that's messed up. I didn't pay any attention to it. So I go over, I don't know how to play craps. So I'm just sitting there watching. So, Kai, a couple other people there, throwing the dice, the dealers collecting. He was like, you want to play? I was like, oh, no, I don't know how to play. He's like, no, man, play. You got chips? I'm like, no, man, I'm good. He's like, here, he gave me some chips. He said, all you got to do is bet. So he starts coaching me on how to play. And I'm just following his lead. He's like, yeah, all right, I know what you want to do is bet here, bet there. I'm like, okay. So then after that game's pretty much done, they're walking off. I'm going my separate way. He was like, come on, man, we about to go to the next table. I was like, cool. This dude literally took me in like I was one of his boys. And I'm like, so what was that dude talking about? So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, what did he do? Walk over and hand him a script? Like, like what did you do for somebody to not even approach him? I'm literally just watching the table to you saying you went over and said whatever you said, and he treated you completely different.
Yeah, 'cause I think a lot of times when people see an artist, actor, influencer, celebrity, whatever, you see them for a ticket or a way in or a opportunity for, to, I do your, I can do a good impression of you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm so glad, and it's like, I want to impress you and not know you. That's why I honestly, it's just my personal thing. I really sometimes am not even as interested in taking a picture with a celebrity as I am in having a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Like,
just a normal.
I don't really care about the picture just to say, it was so good. We post, it was so good to see so they don't know you, you didn't know them, whatever, versus, having some meaningful encounter, which is, can't always happen, but I don't want to be in the bathroom. I remember one time I've rented the bathroom sometime. I don't know where I was, but it was a celebrity in there. And people were sitting there waiting for the guy to get out of the urinal and take a picture with him. Could you imagine? Like, I was like, he is in the urinal. You do understand that we are in the men's bathroom. Like, let the man be.
Yeah. Like, and in their mind, it's like, well, this is my chance for what?
And then
this man's trying to use the bathroom, wash his hands, and get back to his food.
So anyhow, all that to be said, I appreciate that you have remained, yourself, and I think the horses would appreciate that here in Kentucky. They get pictures too. What now in this phase, as you have evolved, what do you see you doing now, going into next? Do you I know you can't say all your things that you have coming up, but is there anything that you're just like, I sense this is what direction I'm headed in?
Yeah, well, I got the biggest thing I'm working on. I can't really say yet, because it's one of those where it's not that it's not like I'm extremely secretive, but at the same time, I don't like talking up things like it's an idea and it just be an idea.
Okay.
It's one of those where it's like when I have something that I can deliver to people as something to see or something that whatever it may be, it's just like, this is what I've been working on, or this is what I have coming out. So one thing I do plan on doing is I got this thing for tracksuits. The main thing is I can rarely find any, like outside of Adidas or something, I can rarely find like a suit like that actually fits me right. And I'm like, why are they like Nikes fit like trash? I'm like, you make stuff for basketball players. Why can't y'all make something for me? So that's one thing I'm working on, like something to fit everybody from my height and size to somebody my height, and 400 pounds to somebody 3 feet and 2 pounds, like pretty much to fit everybody that's going to look good. That's something I'm actively working on right now. I don't know when that'll be out. But at the same time, it's same as I'm doing this social media thing. We always call it white boy confidence. That's that confidence that you can pretty much do anything you want to. You just have to do it. There's nothing holding you back. It's like literally, if this is what you want to do, if you want to create a cell phone company, okay, do it. Like what's holding you back? So that's where I'm at now. At this point, I'm willing and ready to pretty much pretty much accomplish anything that I set my mind to. So I got a couple of different directions I'm going in, but at the same time, it's just like, I see no reason to not to pursue any of these things. It's like I spent the first, 40 years of my life trying to stay in this particular lane and doing things that I saw other people doing because that's what made it possible. Well, just because I haven't seen anybody do it, that don't make it not possible. That just means nobody's done it. At least nobody that I know, so that's where my mind is now. That's what I encourage people to do, is just like have a game plan, and your only plan B is to make plan A work.
Well, I was going to ask you to encourage the people, but you already have. So I don't have,
Oh.
never mind.
Yeah, no, truly, it's I get you. You're preaching to the choir. Like I get the fear, I get the the reluctance, the procrastination, which I suffer from that a lot. But at the same time, I know I'm doing it, so I fight through it. But it's one of the, yeah, it's there's nothing to stop you from doing anything. I don't care what anybody says. Bad idea. Like if it's a good, if it's you think it's a good thing and you think you can accomplish it, I ain't saying just go out and just throw all your money into everything and go broke trying to accomplish something. Come up with a game plan, but make it a strong game plan and just know that it can be done.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I want to, from one black man to the next black man, thank you for your example. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for manship.
Oh yeah, no,
So,
no, you don't understand. I really appreciate you asking me to come on here and everything, man.
yeah,
It means a lot.
yeah, and just how you continue to, be a great example of fatherhood. In a time that you don't always see it. In a family unit, and stepping away from
Mhm.
something that people would normally just stay in and die in. I was
Yeah,
talking to someone on an interview recently, and they were talking about how we always tell people when somebody died, and we'll say, may they rest in peace. And we say that, but it's almost as if all these years of struggle and finally now you get to rest in peace. As if,
yeah,
I mean, we say it, but
it's
it's just
true,
like,
man.
why can't you embrace peace or embrace who you are now and enjoy that now, so
Absolutely.
that maybe, when you do die, they can put well done instead of rest in peace,
Yeah,
like you
no,
did
no,
everything.
yeah. God put us here to flourish and to do everything. He put us here to fly. It's like people, and I'm not knocking anybody in a career or anything. If you love your career, that's a huge blessing. But like people, they work to a job that they force themselves to like to retire and then to die shortly after. That ain't why God put me here. God put us here to be royalty and to soar. That's why He put us here. They always say, oh, gates of heaven, paved with gold. It's like, no, it can be heaven on earth. That's why He put me here.
Yeah, I have gold here. Yeah. Well, let everybody know where they can follow you so that they can connect and they can be inspired, and all that type of stuff, all the different places you are at now. So let
Oh
people
yeah,
know all your
I'm on
handles.
Instagram at Marcus on the gram, Facebook at Marcus on the book, TikTok at Tank Don't Talk. Y'all can find me on a podcast I do with my wife called Is This Gonna Cause an Argument? It's a real podcast. We're a married couple and sometimes we argue on there. I got another podcast called Let Us Tell It. That's with me and my friend Greg. We two black men, two fathers, two husbands. And it's like coming from our point of view. And we also have a show, The Bald and the Beautiful, TBTB, that we do. That's also a podcast. And that's, we do show reviews and we do mukbangs and everything.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I want everybody to follow them.
Oh, sorry. And man shit, you can
Yes.
go to mansyt.com. That's got some more things coming out too.
Okay. So there's gonna be more product with that.
Yes,
Okay. All
I
right.
got you. Don't you worry about it.
All right. Okay. Because I just found out today I can use it for more than my beard. So I'm already I'm already prepared to go back and try that. So
Yeah.
thank you again for being on here. All of you all who've been watching, I appreciate you and your support and sharing this with whoever you can. And as always, you know the name of this podcast, but I want you to always make sure that you embrace your own unique design. I'll see you all next time.